Hello, welcome to my channel. I am the reader, and today we will be reading from Prorevenge again. As you can notice, my voice did get better, but now my allergies are acting up, so I might sound extra nasally than I already do. Alright, so I was liking this one. It's got a silver and a platinum. Alright, let's get started with this. Don't like homeless people in your fast food restaurant? Let's send a few hundred. So a bit after college, I took a part-time volunteer position at a community shelter, helping the area's homeless. I was a caseworker. Basically, we met with everyone once a week and make sure they're doing what they need to do. Job, interviews, saving money, because the ultimate goal is to get them into their own place. My job was to make sure they had everything they needed: bus passes, help with resumes, teach them about bank accounts, help them open one once they found a job, etc. Work with local salons to get them free haircuts to work, for work, etc. Really cool local community shelter that wasn't just a place to sleep each night if they got in. We helped with everything and had a computer lab and classes, etc. for resumes and interviews. So I'm at the point of contact for kind of all their issues. I'm not a therapist, but they opened up to me a lot and asked for help or what I could do to help with them, and that was my job, connecting them with people or resources they needed. Over the course of about a month, I keep hearing the local McDonald's down the road, like half a block away, is routinely asking people in my caseload to leave, not come back. They don't need, quote, homeless people begging, quote, here. I was pretty shocked, and we provide everything. It might not be the best food, but we make sure they eat 3 solid meals a day. It really messes with them for a place to discriminate against them, and I definitely wasn't happy. I go down to talk to the local manager, and sure enough, she doesn't want them in there. Not because they don't buy stuff, they definitely do. But she just seems to not like homeless people. Well, my position has me reach out to corporations, local businesses, and such to seek donations of services or goods to help these people. So I went ahead and reached out to McDonald's corporate. I outlined what we do, gave them numbers, and we actually really do manage to help the majority of people that stay in our shelter obtain employment and an apartment. Told them a lot of people that go for interviews don't manage to make it back for meal times, and if they would be ever so willing to help us by providing vouchers or something to get these people a meal whole, they are out, it would help a lot. McDonald's corporate and the PR person I began working with really liked this idea and wanted to help us, so they sent us a ton of never expiring coupons. They wanted me to provide other shelters information so they could reach out and help there also. When I say they sent a lot, I mean a few thousand coupons. More than we could reasonably use in 2 to 3 years. And I was told, well, we need more, just shoot them an email or a phone call. So what did I do? Began giving coupons out with bus passes to people going for haircuts, interviews, work, everything. I sent more people to that McDonald's than ever went there before. She continued to be fairly rude to everyone and scrutinized the coupons to the point she turned a few away. Big mistake, lady. I called my corporate PR contact and told him that the program is working great, but the local manager is discriminating against the homeless who have a valid coupon. One thing large corporations hate is when local managers go on power trips and get in the way of their efforts to help people, especially when it's great PR and almost costs them nothing. I was called back the next day to be told that no one will be bothered by her again, and her views did not align with those of corporate, and they apologized even more. And guess what? Sent us out even better coupons for better meals. Never did hear from anyone I was working with again about her. No idea where she went or what the local franchise did with her. Alright, here's another one. This got 3 silvers, a gold, and a platinum. You want to be rude and racist to people that's trying to help you? Now you can enjoy having half of a roof over your head. I own a small home improvement company. I do all right for myself, but for some reason my family thinks I'm rich. They don't realize that I'm saving money for all 4 of my kids to go to college, and I have 12 employees to take care of. All my money is tied up. The roof of my aunt's house was in deplorable condition. Last July, my grandmother talked me into fixing it for free. It wasn't an easy job either. It's a 12 by 12 pitch or whatever, 3 layers thick with cedar shake on the bottom. Normally, I would charge $15,000 for this type of job, but I let my grandmother talk me into it. I asked my employees to volunteer their only day off that week. To my surprise, all 10 of my laborers decided to show up. They all refused to clock in. They told me my family is their family, and for my family, they only charge a cerveza, so beer. Honestly, I was humbled by their generosity. As soon as we get to my aunt's house, we start setting up, and my guys start playing the radio. They was listening to some very Mexican music. Then my trashy-ass cousin decided she was going to go outside and start yelling at these guys about the music and had them turn it off. About an hour later, my cousin came outside again to tell these guys to put their shirts on because she felt like it was inappropriate for an 8-year-old daughter to see a man working with his shirt off. After the tear-off was done and we installed a new roof deck, I went out and got a couple buckets of chicken and a few cases of beer. Everyone was standing in the yard eating chicken and drinking beer, talking and joking around and having a good time. Then my cousin decided to come out yet again. This time she's complaining about everyone drinking on the job. This time I pulled her to the side and reminded her that these guys were doing a $15,000 job for free. I flat out told her she needs to shut up and get back in the house. That's when she decided to slap me across my face. Right away I called the police and had her arrested. After the police drove off with her in handcuffs, my aunt completely lost it. She started screaming at me and then threatened to call ICE on my employees. She told me I should be ashamed of myself for not hiring legal American citizens. I told my crew to pack up their shit and hit the road. They are nicer than me because they went up and tarped the roof before they left. About 2 days later, I sent my aunt a text message stating that I expect a sincere, well-written apology letter for all of my employees if she wanted her roof finished. About a week later, I was served a subpoena by the police. My aunt was suing me for damages. I explained the whole situation to the judge and showed her the message that I sent my aunt requesting a simple apology letter, to which the judge fully agreed on my behalf. My aunt was ordered by the court to write 10 sincere apology letters to my employees before I finish her roof. She hasn't wrote those letters, and she still doesn't have a roof. Then he edited it. I believe the only reason she hasn't wrote the letters yet is because the tarp is still holding up. My guys are professionals. We'll see what happens after a couple spring thunderstorms. And then I think I'll read one more. So let's see. Alright, here's the last one. Fail me, lose your job. Back when I was in college, one of my classes was chemistry lab. The lab was separate from the theory and such, and was all about learning proper procedures for performing experiments correctly and writing up reports. The woman who ran the class was neither a professor nor a grad student TA. She was just some woman who had been hired to teach the labs because no one else wanted to do it. She probably had a degree in education or something, maybe a bachelor's in chemistry, but she'd had the job for years. She also sucked at her job. She was that combination of lazy and stupid that is infuriating at the best of times, and worse when in a position of authority. She would dock us points if the results of our experiments were off of the expected result, and since the equipment was in less than stellar condition, that happened often, she would never let us retry experiments if we had some equipment failure, either like the time my ceramic crucible straight up cracked in half because it had been damaged or was defective. I got a D on that experiment. But then she made her last mistake. At the end of the semester, all finals were scheduled by the university to make sure that no one got double booked for their exams. One day, I got back from an exam and I was sitting there playing a video game when one of my housemates passed by. "Why weren't you at the chem lab final?" Because it's tomorrow." "No, she changed it." "When?" "She told us in the last class. The one I missed because I was getting surgery?" "Oh, yeah." Now, labs were only worth 1 credit hour, so even a D in that class wouldn't have hurt my overall GPA enough to affect my scholarships. But the lab teacher had decided that if you failed the final, you automatically failed the class. I frantically went through my university email account, looking to see if I had missed one, telling me that the final had been changed. There wasn't one. So this bitch was going to fail me, essentially, for missing 1 class to get surgery? Screw that. On the day that the final was supposed to be scheduled, I showed up right on time. Unsurprisingly, the room was locked. 2 other students showed up as well, and flipped out when I told them that my housemate had said she'd moved the final. I told them not to worry, and just to come with me. The 3 of us walked down the hall to the office of the head of the chemistry department when he let us in. I told him our teacher hadn't showed up for the final, and the scheduled time was half over already. The professor looked confused and checked the schedule. "Huh, you're right. It is supposed to be right now. I'll call her." After a bit, me and my 2 classmates got to hear one side of an ensuing conversation. "You're supposed to have the final right in your lab. Where are you?" "No, it's scheduled right now." "No, you can't change it. It's scheduled to prevent conflicts." "Well, I have 3 students here who didn't get the word." "I'll check." Professor asked us if we got an email about the final being changed. All 3 of us said no. I added that my housemate had told me she announced it in the last class, which I had missed. The others had the same problem. Up to this point, the professor seemed to have thought it was just some misunderstanding. But now things clicked into place. He got back on the phone. "Where are you? You need to come down to my office now." "You're where?" "I see. We'll discuss this later." He hung up, looking annoyed. "Sorry about that," he said, trying to put on a good face. "We can't reschedule your final at this point, so how would you feel about just taking the grade you had prior?" Now was my time to strike. I pulled out the copies of every lab where the teacher had docked me points for things that weren't my fault. Well, about that. Within a few minutes, the head of the chem department was fuming. You see, part of proper procedure for lab reports is including information on anything that might have affected the data, including equipment failures. I had done so on every lab, thoroughly, and in many cases the teacher had docked me points for it as unnecessary information. The professor asked the others if this was normal, and they said it was. He thanked us for letting him know and said he'd get back to us about our grades. I got an email a few days later letting me know that while we couldn't change up my grades, the professor would let me keep the C I had before, missing the final for now. But if I did better in the next semester's chem lab, he would retroactively change the C to match. The next semester, there were several grad students running the chem labs instead of just one woman and the teacher was gone. The lab equipment had all been replaced with brand new stuff too. It turned out that the lab teacher had moved the final a day earlier so she could leave for vacation sooner. And while she had moved it to a time when no finals were scheduled, she wasn't allowed to do that without running it by the chem department head first. Combined with her failure to properly notify the class, and probably fueled by her incorrect scoring method, that had been enough reason to let her go. And that's it, guys. Thanks for watching my video. If you like it, like it. If you want to follow. Subscribe. Sorry, that's Instagram lingo. And I'll see you in the next one.